This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, I said the Dave Oster because...
As if there was any other.
There was no other Dave Oster. I should say, like I say for Brandon, the one, the only Dave Oster, because you're the only Dave Oster that I know. And you might be saying, hey, guys, why is Ricky sitting on this side of the table? Dave's got a lot more room, like he did for the Behind the Pen. Spacious. That we did. Sean's at Pitchfork, basically. So we're kind of running the show for this week. And like I said on Twitter, Dave, we're going to have a little bit of a bro out, like rocket power. We're basically having a bro out here on the fast break. And yeah. I want to get right into this because this is a topic that I really want to talk about, and that is Carmelo Anthony. We think he's getting traded to the Rockets.
Or is he?
Then the Knicks go, no, wait a second. We're going to bring in Scott Perry to be our GM. Now they want to talk about bringing him back in. Yeah. And I look at this whole situation, and after hearing Rachel Nichols talk about it on The Jump, and basically her saying Melo owes New York nothing.
That's
basically
true.
Owes them nothing, and really like... It's one of those things where it's like he was so excited to leave. It's like it's kind of
he thought it was a done deal.
It's kind of like when you go on a job interview and you're like, I got that job.
Nailed it.
I'm getting that job. I'm gonna be moving. I'm just burning bridges left and right here. And then they go, oh shit, you didn't get the job. And you're like, well, fuck, I gotta keep this job. That's what I feel right now, and I'm wondering if he's ever going to get traded from the Knicks.
I do want to say this, though. Melo did not burn any bridges.
No, not exactly.
He's been professional about this whole situation. Obviously caught off a little off guard by the whole, like,
he's
never
like
mind, not trading you.
He's like, Kristaps do it, Mrs. Exit meeting.
Absolutely. No, I mean, this is just bizarre because when it was reported, like, we got, it was start off as a 2-team trade, then a 3-team trade, then a 4-team trade, and we're like, Frank Izo's like, we're on the 2-yard line, like, this is about to go down. And then we just, are we going the other way? We're going the other way, guys.
We got 2 sacks. Now it's like 3rd and 20.
But I get it because you're bringing in a new guy to be in charge of things, Scott Perry, someone who obviously has some good expertise and, getting the franchise going back in the right direction. My question to you, though, is on his own, how much change can he enact? Because this is still the same guys around him. You still got Dolan up here. You got the same supporting cast who just let the shit show of New York roll on, who just signed a certain Tim Hardaway Jr. to a $71 million contract.
I was going to bring him up because...
So, like, Scott Perry, what's his impact? What can he do for them, realistically?
I mean, you ask, what can he do? And my first initial reaction is nothing.
Can he bring Carmelo back to the table? Can he salvage that relationship?
I kind of want to say no, only because of the fact, I'm going to go back to the analogy that I used before. If you're at a job and then you are hell-bent on, I nailed that interview, and you start thinking in your head that I'm moving on, it is impossible to kind of resell yourself on, well, now I got to come back here. Because in your mind... you have already moved on. Or if you're not getting that analogy, it's kind of like when I go out to a restaurant. I go, man, I'm going to get this for dinner. And then they go, well, I'm sorry, sir. We don't have any more of that. And then you're like...
It's like showing up to Red Robin, them not having fries.
Exactly. And then
like, why am I even here?
And then you're just sitting there like... And we've had that situation happen at restaurants where we just look at each other and go, do we go somewhere else?
Just leave
because
now?
That's what we came here. I feel like Carmelo Anthony, if I'm him, too far gone. Like, I am already looking on to playing with one of my better friends in Banana Boat Chris Paul.
Absolutely.
And a MVP candidate in James Harden. Us three together looking to challenge the Warriors, do some great things, be definite the second best team in the West. Yeah, I said it, Spurs fans. Second best
if they
team
got Melo,
in the West if they got Melo. I feel like Scott Perry is basically coming in and all he can basically say is, hey, I'm not Phil Jackson. And that to me is... the whole reason why we're in this situation is James Dolan let Phil Jackson kind of burn this relationship with Carmelo Anthony, where hearing everyone talk about it, I thought back to his free agency tour. Ooh. Remember that tour? He went to
Wine
LA.
Me and Dine Me.
Kobe wined him and dined him. I mean, in Chicago, I believe Derrick Rose said, I ain't going to play that.
Right.
Derrick Rose said, I don't recruit.
Like, that was Jimmy Butler's job.
And the team was basically, come on, Derrick, you gotta meet Melo. He came here for us. And then he basically took the money with New York.
Who wants to win when you can get paid?
I mean, I look at this and I go, the best choice for the Knicks is to just trade him. Get it off the table. However, what the Knicks are trying to do is they're trying to, I think now, kind of try to salvage this relationship because they're not going to get exactly what they want from the trade. Because guess what? You are not going to get exactly what you want from Carmelo Anthony because of this last season. Like I said, James Dolan let the president of basketball operations tank Carmelo's trade value.
Yeah.
And like you said, I was talking to you, I want to say it was 2 days ago, and I brought up a point that I had heard one of the analysts on ESPN say where it's like, you know what, hold on to him, see if he can up his trade value by making another All-Star game. You said, yeah, if he makes another All-Star game, who cares? He's not upping his value any.
That's exactly my point, is I don't know how you can better Carmelo's value. He still is playing extremely well, but he's an aging star. And at this point in his career, another All-Star game on your thing, no big deal. All-Team NBA doesn't even care. Like, none of that really matters. You get what you get. He is who he is, and he ain't got no ring.
It's all about that ring right now.
He ain't got no ring.
Yeah, but it's all about trying to get that ring.
Very, very interesting how that turned from, I want to get paid, to, man, losing sucks.
Yep.
Get me out of town. And honestly,
it's hard being loyal, man.
It is.
It is hard being
especially
loyal
in
to
today's
a city.
NBA.
Yeah.
I mean, what loyalty does he owe them? I mean, he showed up to work, and the guys they put around him, unfortunately, were not a good fit. Coaching obviously hasn't worked out well for him, and he hasn't been put into a position to succeed. So how much is that to blame on him? I mean, he did take the most money on the team, limiting their options perhaps. He did force them to do a trade mid-season, giving up a lot of the assets, that could have played around him. So he didn't really help his cause a ton. He hasn't recruited amazingly for guys around him. So on that behalf, I don't really see Carmelo as he doesn't owe this anything, but he hasn't put a ton into them either.
He
hasn't invested in the Knicks.
No, he hasn't done. It was basically
like a mutual whatever between the two. I almost want to say
it's a mutual me situation where the Knicks are only looking out for themselves. Carmelo, at the time when he signed that contract, he was only looking out for himself as well. That's why he took the money over anywhere else. And I kind of feel in my head, it's a little different because LeBron wasn't. There's two differences. One, LeBron wasn't getting paid anywhere near Carmelo at the time.
Right.
And two, Carmelo Anthony is nothing like LeBron James in any sense of the word.
They both play basketball.
Okay, there's one thing that they have a similarity on, but this kind of reminds me of the Cleveland Cavaliers before LeBron left for Miami. The big difference, though, is LeBron's talent level not only got the Cavs to the playoffs, but had got them to an NBA Finals as well. And, of course, the team's a little bit different, but I'm looking at the dysfunction.
LeBron also made the guys around him better, which is something Carmelo's been notoriously ragged on his entire career. For how much does he actually help the guys around him? Because he does play that selfish ISO ball that, it looks great for your stat line, but are you helping out anybody else on the team? Are you setting them up for better shots? Are you getting rebounds and helping continue offensive plays? And the answer to that is really no. He's been slowly evolving. I think by the time he hit about 30, his game started to tweak a little bit to get him to move the ball a little bit more, but he's still, the ball sticks in his hands a little too much for most people's liking. For me, I think that no matter what you do between now and the All-Star break, his value is where it's at. The thing that changes is the desperation by teams. Because if we see the Houston Rockets get off to a good start and look like, we could do this. We seriously could do this. I think that then it starts to get a little more, how much could we give away while still competing? If we add in Carmelo, maybe we gotta give up Brian Anderson plus something. The rumors were, Trevor Ariza and Gordon would be one package and Anderson the other. Obviously, one of those is a little bit better off for teams, but they might have to reconsolidate their options because, look, if we're going to seriously go all in on this and we look like we got a shot at midseason, you got to pull the trigger and make that happen. Well, and that's what the Knicks are hoping for.
And I like how you brought up the desperation word because the thing I'm thinking of, and kind of going back to your original question of can Scott Perry repair this relationship? No, but I don't think the Knicks have to trade Carmelo at this very point, because how I see things playing out for the Knicks is when you say desperation, I'm not thinking just from the Rockets. The team I think of is the second team that we have also we talked about Paul George maybe going there. We talked about Melo now maybe going there, and that's Cleveland. They could be a team that as the season starts and kind of goes on a little bit, maybe they look and go, hey, you know what? Maybe we have to get rid of a Kevin Love and bring in a Melo. Or, hey, what if we can swing it to where we can bring in Melo, make the Knicks happy with another team, and I know that they would kind of be unloading your bench because I don't know how they would fit LeBron.
They barely have a bench
Kyrie,
as is.
Love, and Melo on that team. They might be able to make it work, but it would be very difficult.
Mid-level exception, a bunch of vet minimums. Like, that's the only way they could make it work.
Yeah.
But to be fair, if there's a team that can do it, it would be the Cavaliers. Without David Griffin, though, you have to question.
And here's something else that I want to come in with is I mentioned to you when we were coming over to the podcast was I was like, I was listening to The Herd today, and of course he talked about the whole LeBron to LA discussion, and I'm like, we're not going to have that discussion. But it's interesting here because what if Cleveland, what if they feel that kind of pressure to say, well, shit, if we don't put something that's going to beat the Warriors on here, LeBron could leave. So we have to make a move for Carmelo Anthony. Going back to your word, the D word, desperation.
Absolutely. Other
teams, who knows? Maybe there's another team out there that we're not thinking of. Maybe I'm going to throw out contenders like the Thunder. The Spurs, I don't think would. The Thunder are who I'm thinking of. Maybe even a Boston, a Toronto, a Wizards. Teams that are as season progresses, they get a little confidence hey, if we can make a move for him, he betters us and helps our chances, especially if it's an East team in a already weakened East.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, the East, and I'm almost going to this, I'm thinking the West because it's so competitive. Someone over there wants to make a change and be like, we can play with the big boys and we can seriously compete. If we have Carmelo on our team, he's all the firepower we need. I mean, the East is, you list a couple teams there, but I'm like, I don't see the Rockets. I don't see the Raptors making any moves. I feel like they're comfortable with DeMar, with Ibaka playing the 4,
Kyle Lowry,
and Kyle Lowry. That's their 3. Same. The Wizards just went out and spent all their money on Porter, Wall, and Bradley Beal. So it's those top teams. I don't see. The Clippers, they could. That's why I'm looking on the other side. I was thinking of them. Because they just signed Gallo, but you could just easily move that back and forth. He'd go back to New York. Who knows? I mean, they just re-signed Tim Hardaway Jr., who they trashed away for garbage, and now we're paying him $71 million. They go back and get Gallinari again.
Which is funny because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, the two things that Dillo Gallinari and Melo have in common, they both played for the Nuggets at one time, and they both played for the Knicks at one time.
Indeed, they did.
And then they would both be on the Clippers roster for some time.
Well, no, I'm saying he'd probably get shipped.
Yeah, but technically he's on the roster at this point.
Oh,
so they would both
technically
be on the Clippers roster, and they would have 3 things in common.
Yeah, that's the thing is, we've heard the talks before, but I think we're going to watch this story kind of progress over time. It's one of those where we've been on Melo watch for 20 days now, it feels like, and nothing's happened. We got super close. But now we're starting to hear that, gap's widening. I wouldn't be surprised if talks completely cool. Starts the season. People want to know what they've got with assets. They want to see younger guys and see them on the court and see how the team plays, because each year, even if you're a team who doesn't add a ton to it, there's still a lot of growth that happens in the offseason, and the more time you get these guys together. So I could easily see a team by the end of December go, you know what? I think we got what it takes, and I think we got enough movable assets that we could make a run at this.
Well, and one of the things that I want to get into, and this is getting a little bit away from Melo and more on Scott Perry, because you mentioned Tim Hardaway, and the thing that I kind of think of is 2 things. One, they try to bring in Griffin. That doesn't work. He says, well, I want to come in and basically clear house. They say, no, we're fine with that.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't get that move, because I'm like, why wouldn't you want someone who knows what they're doing to clear house. It's the Knicks just want a yes man to come in. First off, I worry that Scott Perry is basically a yes man to James Dolan. But number two, how much can Scott Perry do? Because it's like, well, who made the Tim Hardaway move? Who was the one that had the final say on that? Because you didn't have a GM.
Right.
You didn't have a guy, and I even forget the Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups was also in there, but apparently the news was that some people thought they were lowballing him. Some people thought, well, that's the average for new GMs that have never been in the position before. But they also had that drama too. I just wonder what Perry coming into this job, how much can he do because he's already handicapped with the Melo situation, and now he has to come in and say, well, wait, do I want Tim Hardaway?
Right.
Because nobody talked to me about it because I wasn't the GM at the time.
And that's kind of why I liked David Griffin. Like, a lot of people understood why he ended up passing on the job, and it completely led back to, I can't replace the front office with guys that I handpick. Then what's the point?
Yeah.
Because the problem's still there. And Scott Perry, yes, he gets a decent amount of credit. Just for this past year, it was the offseason for the Kings. Before that, it was a lot of the drafts in Orlando, I think like 3 years. So like he clearly has some talent. I don't want to give him too much credit for that stuff because obviously there's a lot of guys involved in this process and he's just one face in the office. But still, it's the fact that you're working with the guys who assembled the super team of 2011 in 2015, 2016. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable being like, you know what? I'm walking in the door and I've got a team with Joakim Noah, Carmelo Anthony, Tim Hardaway Jr., and I feel really good about where we're going as a future. No.
Forgot about Joakim Noah. That was another signing from last year.
I was going to say. I was like, I really want to highlight that
At least they got rid of Rose at the end of this year.
Fair. I mean, you do have a future, though, with Porzingis and Frank and Hernan Gomez, Kuzmiskis. Like, you've got a bunch of foreign players who have been overperforming expectations in my mind. Frank will wait and see, obviously. But the other guys have definitely shown us they're either very good role players or like KP, unicorn, like something special. So you've got enough hope for the future, but the problem is you're still stuck with the same assets. And unless you have veto power over the rest of that front office, and that's where I want to see is like, how much power does he really have? Or like you said, is he just a puppet? Is he a face man for this operation? And I'm seriously hoping that he gets, I don't want to say like executive power over decision making when it comes to that front office, but he needs something along those lines to make his impact on this team. Otherwise, we're going to be looking back and being like, man, he walked into a really shitty situation.
And I want to throw something out at you because this was 2 days ago before the trade talk stalls. I want to throw this hypothetical trade out at you and see what you think. This would send Carmelo Anthony to the Rockets. You ready for it, Dave?
Sure.
It is a 4-team trade.
Of course.
The Knicks would be getting, the teams that it involves are the Knicks, the Rockets, the Utah Jazz, and the LA Lakers. Here are the pieces. The Knicks would get Derek Favors from the Jazz and Trevor Ariza. 2 expiring contracts. They're gone at the end of the year. You get flexibility to use that money however you want. The Rockets, they get their guy. They get Melo. That's all they get. The Jazz get Ryan. Basically, they're giving up Derek Favors and Joe Johnson to take in Ryan Anderson's contract. And the Lakers are basically giving up nothing and taking in Joe Johnson because they have the cap space. So the Lakers are just there to take a player from Utah so that they could take Ryan Anderson's contract.
The problem
of course,
is, I think
they would have to give up something, cash, anything,
second-round pick
to get that.
Yeah.
But is this a trade where is this Ricky just playing with the trade machine, or do we have something here? Is Ricky trying to do something?
The problem is, like, it's possible. Like, I don't want to totally discredit you because we've seen some weird shit go down in the NBA as far as trades that don't make sense on paper and the values for players not being what we expected them to be. The biggest problem I see with that is the fact that you're giving up ISO Joe. But
he only has 1 year, and do you think he's going to replicate it?
The problem is the team needs scoring.
Yeah.
And, like, after losing, I think that Ryan Anderson's not the perfect fit for them. And I think that him on his own definitely would not be enough to keep them going. I think that's no. Favors and Joe leaving would be too much of a hit for them to take just to get Howard or
just to get
Ryan
Anderson, so that because really the main reason, and this is why Ryan Anderson is the one kind of ball in the thing, clogging it up.
$3 $60 million, right?
It's a 3-year contract, and no one wants to take it.
Yeah, which is weird because this is the guy that we're like, hey, it's a stretch forward. This is how you win in the NBA, and within a year of him, not a terrible performance. Obviously, missed some games due to injury, but still,
but no one wants to overpay for him, which is what the Rockets did on a last year's contract.
Because everybody overpaid last year, yeah. And that's why I think everybody was such a fan of the Blazers being involved, because they have a lot of guys on high contracts that they're locked into. The problem is no one want to take Myers Leonard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like you've got a couple guys who are just thorns in team side because of contracts at the time didn't seem awful, but looking back are not ideal. Not impossible, but I don't like the fit for them.
He's the only, that's the only thing that I thought of was, basically you can look at it and say, you're giving up Favors taking in Ryan Anderson, power forward for power forward.
Yeah.
But I'm like, would Ryan Anderson fit there? Or is this just Ricky playing with the trade machine?
Yeah,
and I got green. I got
greedy.
a green one, so I got excited.
Mine got greedy.
I want to ask you this, though, before we move on to our next topic, which is Lonzo Ball. Can't wait to talk about that. But I want to ask you this to close it out. We're in stalls right now. I want to ask you, first, two-part question. First off, does a deal get done? Second off, if it does get done, how much longer do we have to wait?
So no time frame on this, does deal get done?
First is the no deal, does a deal get done?
Yes.
If you say yes,
All-Star break.
How long? So
I say before All-Star break.
Because they changed it to above the trade deadline now.
I think that, and maybe I'm just overreacting to Scott Perry coming in town and the early answer of, well, let's see if we can hold on to Carmelo. Let's see how bad this relationship really is. New guy walks in, he's like, well, I want to test the waters. See where we're at, and then I'll decide. So I think we've got like a 2-week cooling period where it's either going to get right back to we're ready to trade him, and this is going to get done one way or the other. Because we got time
before the season. I think it's either October 17th or the 20th.
Yeah, we're right in that range, so we got plenty of time. And I feel like there's that it's that period of let's get to know each other, have a couple meetings with Scott Perry, and then it's either on and it's going to get done, or we're stuck waiting until mid-season where some team is going to have that need for Carmelo Anthony. We're like, we can do this. We seriously look at each other in the locker room and be like, that's all we need, and we're set. We could take down the Warriors. We can take down anybody else who comes at us. And that's what I'm excited to see, because at that point, we start to see some interesting thoughts. We start to see some trade machine Ricky in there.
And not just that, but I'm interested to see how the talks between Perry and Melo are. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that room, because if I was Melo, I would basically walk in and say, hey, you know what? With all due respect to you, Scott, I know you might be a great guy. I want to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I've been burned too much here.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when it would feel like I'm being forced to stay with a girlfriend I don't want to be with anymore.
Yeah.
And you might be great. You might be a new personality trait.
But it's not a fit.
But overall, me and Dolan can't get along. And this city's dysfunctional.
Scott's job is to walk in and be like, what would it take?
Yeah, what would it take to keep you here?
Like, I'll trade Hardaway Jr. I don't care. I'm not attached to him.
I would love that. I would love if that move happened. They sign him and then they trade him.
I mean, it's his job has to be just lay it on the table. Be like, look, you know my situation. You know what I'm walking into. What would it take for you to stay here?
Help you.
Exactly.
Help me help you, Melo.
I can give you another stupid contract. I can do that. He's still worth the money. He's still worth the money he's getting. That's the thing. Like, it's not an overpay for Carmelo Anthony for that contract he's on. It's just the question of, like, how do you work around that? And obviously the last ownership group, or last management group, failed horribly with Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, and a couple of other questionable signs in the years leading up to that even. So in my mind, it's knowing that we're going to move some pieces. It's going to take a couple... The problem is, you say it's going to take a couple years, and Melo's out the door already. Well, that's the timeline is the question. Because do you sacrifice?
Here was my final thought on it before we kick it off to them.
Yeah.
Is I like your trade deadline. I like the yes and the if so by the trade deadline. Yeah. Because if I'm the Knicks, I'm holding on to him for the start of the season. Because if I hold on to him for the season, you want to try to get something, but I am fine with putting the ball in Melo's court of Do you want the money or do you want to go play with your buddies?
What if he gets
After this
injured
year.
though? What if this turns into like the ultimate like Knicks like
And he gets
it's
injured?
just another sad story. He gets injured and then he doesn't take the player option and he's out of town.
Whatever
and you
get-
get nothing.
Whatever.
Would you be as
Yes.
a Knicks fan? Would you be okay with him just being out of town and you got no value?
Yes, and the
You get KD
the
down.
reason why is because if I was trading him, I'm taking in 1-year contracts anyways to expire and give me money, so that Scott Perry can do stuff with that money next year in free agency.
Take those 1-year contracts, attach him to Joakim Noah, and you get him out of town too. It's a win-win.
And try to boost that up so that they can bring people around KP, because that's who you build around is KP. But yeah, if I'm the Knicks, I hold them until trade deadline is what I would shoot for. But if you can get a deal that you like
it's
before
not too
that,
close.
do
You don't
it.
get squeezed.
But
like Boogie.
I wouldn't mind putting the ball in Melo's court at the end of the year. Are you going to take the money and take our exception? Or you can decline it and go play with your buddies if that's what you want to do. You could do that as well. I would kind of put it in Melo's court if he didn't want to play ball with us being the front office. But I want to put the conversation onto you guys because we have gabbed about this enough. I want to get what you guys think. Let us know down below in the comment section. What do you think about Melo? Is he going to get traded? Not going to get traded? Will he be a Rocket? Will he stay a Knick? What do you think is going to happen down below in the comment section? And Dave, let's do something different to start this segment, because in between segments, you showed me the great Stugats of the Dan Le Batard show and his Hot Takes Diva.
Yeah.
And coming up for this segment, I have a hot take that I'm going to lay on you guys.
And I'm sure you guys at home are going to love this.
So I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try to do my best. I know my hair isn't as
you don't got the wig
luscious, and I don't have. I'll do the Sean Anderson. How about that? How about that? If I try to do the Sean Anderson, get the feet up there like this and pull it over here. I'm gonna pull a hammy, so you better just do it.
All right,
we're gonna do this. This is the hot takes casual dude, is what I'm gonna call it.
Lonzo Ball.
Lonzo Ball will be the Rookie of the Year in 2018. Have you not seen him ball out, Dave? Have you not seen? But there's one catch to it, Dave. Look at my shoes. What am I not wearing? I'm not wearing big baller brands. You can't wear the big baller brands, and you will be the Rookie of the Year. So, Dave, I'm going to kick it over to you. Could Lonzo Ball be the Rookie of the Year this year? Or will he be the Rookie of the Year this year?
You may be onto something here, Ricky. Now, I don't...
Hot take.
It is a hot take. But what... And here's the thing. Summer League... I'm going to say this about 8 times during this video. Summer League is Summer League. It doesn't mean anything.
He's going up against boys.
Boys who aren't going to make a team. I mean, 80% of the roster doesn't make the NBA to start the season. So what you got to think here is, how good is he and what has he actually shown us in this Summer League? What he's shown us is that he is still a phenomenal passer. He does make the guys around him better, but he can't shoot for shit. But he does play with energy. So there's the upside. So you have a guy who, worst case scenario, is a better shooting Ricky Rubio. I mean, that's your baseline. So you got to be happy with that coming out. The thing that's a little disturbing is the turnovers. And yeah, he's a young kid. And I know I don't want to rag on Summer League turnovers. The gameplay is nothing like the NBA game.
I mean, Thon Maker had, 10 in a game?
He had 10 fouls in a game.
10 fouls in a game. But he turned the ball over quite a bit, and we didn't rag on him as much in the regular season for it.
That was Thon Maker. That was just for you guys at home. No, I mean, look, Lonzo Ball, he put up, 2 triple-doubles in 4 games. Pretty impressive.
The last 2 games have been. He'll play the third one on Saturday. We're recording this on Friday, but he'll play another one. I believe he's going to wear another non-big baller brand shoe.
Probably,
I believe it's the Curry 2s.
He might wear the Curry 2s. Yeah, just throw it at Under Armour at this point.
Those are the best shoes because I got them on.
Of course. But no, I mean, this is a guy who, I mean, for all the criticism and the hilarious struggle that, trust me, everyone at home enjoyed that first game where it came out and looked like an absolute shit wreck. Like, that was a slow-mo car accident. We got to enjoy every playing off the rim.
I didn't enjoy any of it. I'm just telling you that. Did not enjoy any of it because I'm a Lonzo Ball fan.
The hot takes, literally, the moment that game ended, it was nothing but,
cam?
Oh my God, Lonzo's a bust. Look, this scrub can't even play with Summer League. Like, he's losing to kids who aren't even going to make a roster, not even a D-League team, G-League team. And then all of a sudden, you start to see a little bit better the next game. And then it was just like, flip this switch, and all of a sudden the kid drops 36 points, like 12 assists and 8 rebounds, some crazy stat line, and it's like, yeah, that's right. That's why he's so good. That's why he was drafted number 2 overall, is because what he can do out there is be a phenomenal asset to your team, get everybody involved, and he still does take his shots. He's got his pull-up. The thing that worries you a little bit is the atrocious shooting from the outside and the fact that he's not getting to the line when he does take it to the hoop. Like, for a man with his build, boy, whatever, kid's like 19. The thing is, he needs to learn to create contact. He's got a solid frame. He's obviously going to add more muscle to it over time, but it's one of those little things you learn, and it will only help his game because you start to get to the line more, you start to be able to play with pace, and it's just, he's going to expand out his game.
Well, and the 3-point part, the part that you bring up,
yeah,
I totally agree. He's got to up that because in college and coming into the draft, we talked about how he could knock down big threes, and that was a big part of
those
his
transition
game.
threes are kind of nasty when you let him walk down uncontested by a 3-point line. You're going to get punished.
The passes where it's like, you know what, I'm just going to chuck it down the court
full court. I think some of his teammates are still adjusting to that.
And just kind of know where you are or where I think I want you to be. But it's kind of like we saw with Ben Simmons last year before he got injured.
Teammates just don't expect it yet, and then once you watch it.
He would do the behind the back, and it was like the kid didn't even know it was coming to him. The free throw thing, though, I'm not in a huge...
It's free points.
I'm not in a huge tiff about
it's
because
free points. If you're going to finish at the rim, you might as well get the extra shot.
And the thing I'm looking at is last year's Rookie of the Year. And last year's Rookie of the Year in Malcolm Brogdon, 10.2 points per game. You add 4.2 assists per game, 2.8 rebounds per game. If the Summer League totals, and I'm not saying they will be because he is going to be playing against men when we start the NBA season, but I think Lonzo's going to have more than 10 points per game, should have more than only 4 assists per game. He like the assist numbers, those better be double digits by the end of the year because that is the thing that we are harping the most when it comes to his positive is his assist numbers and how he facilitates other players. The rebounding, I don't know if it's going to be if it's going to be at a double digit where it is right now in the last 2, but I think it should be higher than about 3 rebounds per game. The thing where
he'll be much higher than that.
The thing where Malcolm Brogdon has him is that he shot 48% from 2 and 40% from 3 for an overall shooting percentage of about 45.7. The thing is with free throws with Malcolm Brogdon, he only averaged 2 attempts per game. 1.7 was the average, and he only made about 1.5. So he had an 86% shooting percentage. Good percentage,
yeah.
But he only had about 2 attempts per game on average.
And I get that. It's a tendency that he had in college and the way they played in the system. I'm just saying at the NBA level, with the body he has and the fact that the ball will run through him and he's comfortable with that, you might as well take advantage. If your skill set is to be behind the arc or be under the basket because he doesn't have a mid-range game, and we know that, like he needs to learn to be able to create contact down low because otherwise you're not getting the most out of your opportunities. And I mean, look at the way James Harden has evolved his game completely off of drawing contact. The man is a monster. You may hate how slow the game gets when it gets into free throw time for him, but you have to respect his ability to draw contact in every way possible on his shots. And it's only made him better, and it's made the Rockets a better team for that. I mean, I think my favorite part about his game so far in Summer League is his work with Kyle Kuzma. Like, obviously, we didn't expect this out of Kuzma.
And they were both wearing the same Kobe shoes, too.
Yeah, they are
the
a
Nike
good pair of young kids together, and I think that is awesome to see because it's that locker room presence, that leadership, scary word for the Lakers that Magic threw down when talking about what they needed out of Lonzo early on, and to demand leadership out of a kid his age, that he's showing this in Summer League. Guys are around the same age, so that's easy. That's what I expect, and I'm happy to see it there. The question is, will it translate over to the NBA with the full roster? I think it can. I think he's got a personality in the back room that we don't see.
Well, and let's be honest. The main reason why when you brought up earlier in this segment, like, oh yeah, there were so many people that were excited when he flopped that first game. Let's be honest. Everyone out there that you might have thought that, let's be honest. You only thought that because of LeVar Ball. You didn't think that because of Lonzo himself.
Right.
Like,
the kid's never done anything
you hate. Like, I think we need to separate it to where you don't hate Lonzo Ball, you hate LeVar Ball. And every question, this is not where I wanted to go, but this is kind of what one of your points put into my head, like a little magical seed. But every interview thus far after games, they're trying to bait him in, like well, you didn't wear the big baller brand shoe. What's up with that, buddy? Simple answer. Well, yeah, at Triple B, we have the freedom to do whatever we want.
Yeah.
And just simple right there. The question of, and I know when ESPN asked it, it was very casual, like, oh, has your dad called you yet? Kind of like, you'd ask that to a prospect that is, close to their father. But in this case, they asked him because
exactly
it's LeVar Ball.
Yeah.
And just a simple answer of, you know what? He wasn't at the game today. I'm sure he'll call me when I get to the locker room, and me and him will talk on the phone. Just simple answers, not agitating anything.
So
really
I like his other
guy.
answer. I mean, you didn't even bring up the hey, you had a great performance tonight, but your team lost. How do you feel? And he's like, look, it's a team sport. All I care about is my team, and everybody out there taking care of every. It's very non-self-centered answers. It's very mature for someone his age.
And two things that I think that Luke Walton should be right now, just basically like a dog looking at a steak, just salivating, is the two things I see from Lonzo Ball. Number one is what you brought up. He cares about the team.
Yep.
The team comes first. It's not about the individual. And the second thing, I look at how this Laker Summer League team works in the kind of how they're pushing the pace and how they're running a little bit, to where Luke Walton was asked after one of the Summer League games, and he said, yeah, guys like Larry Nance, like Clarkson are already calling me saying, we're watching. We can't wait to get on the court with this kid. We can't wait to get out there and run this season because of the things they're seeing from Lonzo Ball and his ability to push the tempo with this team. Because one of the big things we talked about all last year into this year was, what was the one style Luke Walton wanted to bring to this Laker team? The same kind of push, the same kind of up-tempo-ness you see from the Golden State Warriors.
Right. I mean, he had the model for success. He saw it firsthand. And what he sees in building out this young roster is a lot of potential for guys to, and you're not looking for exact clones. You'll never find another Steph Curry, another Klay Thompson, definitely not another KD, but you can get guys who are similar enough, and you can tweak the system to be what you need it to be. And we saw this last year a little bit with their early success, where they were just jacking up threes. They were playing quick, they were playing loose, and the ball was moving, and it looked fun. And that's what gives you hope. And you mentioned the younger guys on the team, can't wait to play with them. We got to watch Brandon Ingram play with him for the first game. And think about this. Brandon Ingram's only 2 weeks older than him.
Yeah.
2 weeks. Come on.
He was drafted
a whole year in advance.
Earlier of him.
But what we saw was even Brandon Ingram looked really good with him out there together. This is something where the chemistry, I think, is flowing early on. And that's what, as a Lonzo Ball fan, you're excited to see. And even as a Laker fan, you're excited to see this chemistry. For me, really, it's how does he get from being this guy who is a stud in Summer League, because we have seen guys who looked really great in Summer League and then have come into the NBA and got taken back to reality. So honestly, and I don't want hot take, I want honestly, how do you think his first month as a pro is going to go? Do you see struggles in the row in line form, or do you see him being able to transition this Summer League success into results at the NBA level?
I think we're going to see a mix match, and the reason why I say mix match is we're not going to see triple doubles. The thing that makes us just basically get so excited and get so revved up for this is because he has 2 triple doubles now.
You're the man who discredited the triple double last season. I know, small tangent,
no. I'm not saying from me. I'm saying from the general, ESPN, from Fox.
Why have we been acting like a triple double is a big deal?
It's one of the things where it is it's a big deal for the media outlets and for to talk about because of what Russell Westbrook did. Even though I was one of those people that said, well, you still got knocked out in the first round. How are those triple doubles now?
And we expect this Lakers team to be not even close to a playoff team. Yeah. So so I guess back to Lonzo's success versus the team's success.
I think it's going to be with him, to answer your first question. We're not going to get triple double Lonzo each and every night like we have for the past 2 nights, but I expect him in his first month to kind of gel with the older guys like the Clarksons, like the Nances, like the ones that are already calling Luke Walton and saying like, man, I can't wait to play with this kid.
Yeah.
I think we will see one of the best things we'll see is an immediate return on this Laker team and how they play, where it's like where you can look at them in the first month or two, and if you're a Laker fan, you could look at your buddy next to you and just smile and be like, we got our point guard.
Nice.
We got the guy that is going to set the table. We got Brandon Ingram last year. Let's hope he improves this year. Let's hope he bulked up a little bit.
High expectations, yeah.
We've got Lonzo Ball. All we need is the vet to come in. All we need is the big
Paul
guns
George
to come in. The Paul Georges, the LeBron James.
You do have Brook Lopez.
We do have Brook Lopez, and Brook Lopez, the only thing that's going to keep him is getting those big names to play with him.
Do you think
another veteran?
But do you think how does Lonzo and Brook work together? I mean, we got to watch the very limited segment.
Could we see a alley-oop like we saw in Game 1?
I mean, it's possible.
I think it'd be awesome. A little Lob City.
It's possible. Brook doesn't play so close to the net too often, but when he does, entirely possible. But I like the prospect of Lonzo and him on the pick and pop.
Yeah.
We got to watch a limited segment of that in Brooklyn with Jeremy Lin when healthy, and that was deadly for the Nets.
When healthy.
I know. I love my boy Jay Lynn, but he was not there all season. But no, I mean, is Brook Lopez being overlooked in this because his impact on Lonzo and vice versa? Like
maybe a little.
I think that I think Lonzo's success is directly tied to two guys. It's Brandon Ingram and it's Brook Lopez. Those are the two guys who are going to make or break this season for him, because I could easily see Lonzo Ball and Summer League, preface this, a lot of those assists. He could have a lot more. Even though I'm talking about, 11 assist game, 10 assist games, he could have 15, 16 if guys could knock down shots. Like, very easily saying that. And I don't want to sound crazy, but I'm thinking regular season, if Brandon Ingram goes from one of the worst players in the NBA, but with a ton of potential and the ability to grow forward, like, if he continues off where he left off in the last month of the year, I'm excited. I'm thrilled as a fan. And then we bring in a 7-footer who can shoot it from deep. I mean, that could be deadly for him. But if things don't go right and the chemistry isn't there between Lonzo and Brook, and, maybe he and Ingram have some issues, I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying, like, I think his rookie year is heavily dependent on those two guys, and watching Ingram progress and seeing how Brook Lopez, is he going to be the veteran leader of this team? Is he still going to get his? I mean, he, for 7 years, was putting up 20 points and, 5 boards. Not the best boards numbers for a center, but still, what you're getting in Brook Lopez. Do you see him being happy there?
I mean, the thing that I think is the good thing with that relationship is if it is, I don't want to say rocky, because I don't expect Lonzo to come in and make that a rocky relationship. But if it's something to where they don't work together, a good thing for the Lakers is Magic Johnson and Pelinka, they can reevaluate it. And at the end of the year, say, you know what? If it's not working, obviously Lonzo's here to stay. Brook Lopez, it was nice having you, but you can move on, kind of a thing. And I know Laker fans might look at that and go, but Ricky, then we're not getting anything for him. That's not the problem. The thing you got to think about is you're going to have money. And the thing that I think is the biggest draw for the Lakers this year, and their one goal is to make the product on the court look good enough to entice veterans. Because right now, I mentioned them in the Melo segment. I'll mention them here because this was the one it pertained to. LeBron goes and watches a Lonzo Ball Summer League game, and everyone talks about LeBron to L.A., LeBron to L.A., LeBron to L.A. It's happening. It's happening. This is the thing that's going to make it happen. And I think the Lakers, the big thing is we got to make this product look good so that we can sell it to a Paul George, who has already talked about where it's like, hey, if we make it this far, I might just stay. Or a LeBron James that people are already expecting him to leave because they don't expect the Cavs to help him out in any way. So that's what I think needs to. And the big thing is not necessarily how Ball plays with Brook, but how Ball plays with the younger talent, because that's the draw for these veterans is what do I have under me? They know what Brook brings to the table. They're not questioning what Brook would bring in because he's an established vet in this league.
Right. No, that's fair. That's fair. And this is all about Lonzo Ball being potentially the rookie of the year. And clearly, watching Summer League, one of the biggest contenders looks like
there's two guys.
There's two.
There's two guys that are going to win the award in my mind.
Oh, see, I've got three total. Who could potentially?
I think
One's a wild card because
I think your third is a guy I'm taking out because of his entire team.
Yeah, I mean, Jason Tatum had an impressive Summer League.
Was not thinking Jason Tatum.
Impressive Summer League, but I don't know if the minutes will be there.
He'll play enough.
Yeah, that's my concern. Like he's a role player because of the roster. Mm-hmm. The one who is the surefire contender is a Dennis Smith Jr.
Ooh, didn't think about him at all.
How do you not think about? He's been electric.
I should have. De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox, well, impressive. I'm sorry, for Rookie of the Year, the award is most notoriously given away for points per game.
You know what?
And impact on team.
I stand corrected. There are three in my mind. I'm still putting De'Aaron Fox there because I think that he has the potential to, if he just goes off
he
of
can
that
eat that
team,
ass.
He can do it, Dave. Exactly. Plus, the reason why I kind of want that to be is what kind of height. Like, this is a league that's built on stars.
Absolutely.
The first year, the Rookie of the Year race is Lonzo versus De'Aaron Fox.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
We're talking about that later in the year. I'll throw Dennis Smith Jr. there. Completely forgot about him. And I mean,
so disrespectful.
DJS, I am sorry. I forgot about you. Wolfpack Nation, I will not let you down again.
The man with invincible knees.
The guy that I was thinking about that I don't think will be in the conversation because of the team around him, Markelle Fultz.
Oh.
The first overall pick.
Well, to be fair, there's a better rookie on the team.
There is.
His name is Ben Simmons.
Neither of them, I think, will win the award.
I think they split the vote again.
Well, they'll split the vote. Plus,
same problem as Roca.
It'll be one of the things with that team where they go, well, yeah, it's impressive, but Lonzo Ball has had less. Dennis Smith Jr. has less on that team.
I mean, yeah, I just...
When you have Embiid and Saric with you...
If they play. And that's the problem why Embiid and Dario split the vote.
Because they could get injured.
Well, they both split the vote last year, and that's why we saw the president win the Rookie of the Year. And I think Ben and Markelle will do the same thing this year. They'll both have impressive performance. This is assuming health across the board. Yeah. Fingers crossed, everybody wants to see this thing happen.
Because we already got that scare the night of Mark's wedding.
It sounded worse than it was, thankfully. But here's the thing. Dennis Smith Jr. is an electric player, and the fact he fell to where he did is amazing for him, and the guys around him is going to be great because he walks into a situation where I know Nerlens hasn't re-signed yet, but it still seems likely that he will end up there. So you've got a fantastic defensive center on your team, power forward center, whatever, but you have Dirk on the team who is just a knockdown shooter still with his age. I don't care. I mean, he's just a wonderful shooter. Harrison Barnes has bloomed into his own. Like he is going to be a good player, or he already is a good player. What am I kidding? He's put up like 19 a game. I mean, I just think that he can walk in his team and be explosive day one, and Rick Carlisle is going to let him play. I think it's very much going to be his team to control. I mean, it's still Dirk's team, but like even Dirk was like, kid's impressive. Like he just is. So I think he's someone who, because he has the like Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook, physicality, quickness, and like drive to him, I could see him being very captivating. The big problem for him is like Dallas. Like, I'm sorry, you're not a big market. You're not going to get all the love that Lonzo Ball will in LA.
And basically you have, and I'm going to throw De'Aaron Fox back in here.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox, it might be a little Batman Joker kind of a situation because if Lonzo Ball's playing well and De'Aaron Fox is playing well, we're going to talk about those two.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about them being in the race together, both of them in California. The eyes are on them. That could, like Lonzo Ball, if they're both successful, they could help each other out because it's like, I'm doing good. I'm keeping more so Lonzo to De'Aaron Fox, where it's like, hey, I'm doing well also. You're doing well, but I'm kind of helping you because if I wasn't there, people wouldn't look at Sacramento. Sacramento's a young, promising team, but it doesn't have the same gravitas that LA does. It's not La La Land.
It's true. I mean, even when the Lakers are terrible, they still pack the house. So fair. And I think that the rivalry between the two of them.
Clipper fans, it's okay.
You're always number two.
You can take your reversible jerseys and flip them inside out now. It's okay to have the yellow and purple showing. Like, they're going to be good again.
There you go. Well, they'll be entertaining.
In the future, I'm saying. I'm not
They've
saying
got
this year.
potential to be good.
The sky is the limit in LA.
But yeah. So what would it take? Give me some numbers for Lonzo. What kind of a year would it take for him to be Rookie of the Year? I'm going to
say... I'm going to go at least 15 points per game.
Is that asking a lot out of him? Do you think that?
I don't know. And that's
a guy in college who did not put up.
I'm going to say between 15 is ideal, but I think he can win it at 12 because we saw Malcolm Brogdon win it with 10 points per game.
To be fair, that was a historically weak rookie performance from the class.
I think the assists need to be at least 10, and then the rebounds have to be about 6 or 7. So basically in your rookie season, you're putting up, I'm going to go 15, 10, and 7. So basically you're putting up an NBA stat line to me.
Wow. Well, that's a double-double and six rebounds.
I think Lonzo Ball, if he plays to the potential that he has, could walk into the gym and get a double-double. Just because of points and assists. 10 points and 10 assists to him.
I think he's going to be the guy
easier than 10 points.
That's what I'm saying.
But he can get 10 points per game.
He should be able to if he can knock down that 3-point shot and get to the foul line. I think that's why I don't want to overplay this.
There's still improvements that he needs to make.
Those are my keys to his success. And I think he does put up a similar line. I think he actually probably goes for less. I think he's going to be probably like a 12, 9, and 4 guy. 12, 9, and 5 guy.
Didn't want to give him the double-double, did you?
I don't, and that's only because I just think in the NBA game, and I hope to be proven wrong. This is a guy who, back before the draft, I was like, honestly, the expectations we're putting on him, he could be the biggest bust out of this because we're saying the sky is the limit.
You said the B word.
I did.
You said the B word for the big ball of
when you walk
brand.
into the discussion as the sky's the limit, he's going to take down Steph Curry. He's going to take the Lakers to the playoffs year 1, according to his dad. I'm sorry, when you said that expectation, anything below that's a bust.
Could happen. Man.
So
could happen in the West.
I think he comes just shy, and I think that Dennis Smith Jr. or Ben Simmons is going to walk away with the Rookie of the Year.
I think how it's going to play out is Lonzo Ball will be our Rookie of the Year. Dennis Smith Jr. will be number 2. I'm going to go either Ben Simmons or Markelle, whichever has the better year will be 3rd.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox will be in the discussion because of Lonzo. We'll have that
I think the rivalry will be fantastic and something I look forward to.
That Batman Joker kind of Superman Lex Luthor, that villain to hero.
Are you trying to make De'Aaron Fox a villain here?
No, it's whatever. If you're a De'Aaron Fox fan, then Lonzo Ball is the Joker. But because I'm on the Lonzo Ball side, De'Aaron Fox would be the Joker.
Yeah, there's no denying they're both special players, and I look forward to them kind of having that rivalry throughout the NBA.
Well, and this is where we put it on to you guys. Let us know down below. First off, is Lonzo going to win the Rookie of the Year?
Yeah,
that's what this
hot
is about.
take diva Ricky.
Is he going to be the Rookie of the Year? And then number 2, if he's not, who's going to be the Rookie of the Year this year? Let us know down below in the comment section. And Dave, we're going to move on into the last discussion that we're going to have, and that's going to be talking best offseason moves thus far in free agency. And the one disclaimer I do have to say is it's outside the big 3. So CP3, yeah, we know that was a great move. Gordon Hayward, yeah, that was a great move as well.
Absolutely.
And I'm missing one, Paul George. He was the other one. That's a great move as well. We all know those are great moves. We've talked about them enough. But Dave,
best of the rest.
We got to talk about, like you said, the best of the rest. And I'm going to actually take it first. I'm going to dish one out first.
You do you, boo.
This is one that was in the aftermath of I like that. You do you, boo. And it took me a while to be like, my brain was like, did he just say what I think? Yeah, he did.
It's a little late tonight.
I am going to be boo, but this is in the aftermath of Gordon Hayward. And he says after all he's going to Boston. Whoa, not so fast. I want to do it myself. But
right.
He signs with Boston, and then the Pistons being able to trade, because these are not just free agent pickups. These are also moves. They're trades as well. I absolutely still to this day after it happened love the move from the Detroit Pistons to go out and get Avery Bradley, because he was one of the guys that I didn't think Boston was going to move. I thought that Jay Crowder was the odd man out. Did. But getting Bradley, I like it for the Pistons, not because of what he can do offensively. I mean, we know what he can do offensively, but because they add a guy who can, at the 2, bring them defense, which I think they need drastically now that one of their guys, Caldwell Pope, is now playing in La La Land.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting trade-off. I mean, KCP was good, but I just want to say, Avery Bradley comes in and the team's instantly better for it. It doesn't really resolve the problem of not having a point guard. But you know what? It's definitely a huge move for them. And the big question here, and you and I were kind of going back and forth on, well, why did they go Bradley? It was the contract situation because obviously at the end of this year, he's up. So
He gonna get paid.
he's going to get paid. And the question is for them is, they can sit on him for the year. And if they like the fit, they can pay him. And if they don't, they walk away. And they're not concerned with anything. Like it's almost one of the best sign. I almost want to give it to you off the bat, but that'd be too easy. It's a great signing though.
And I'm surprised that you knock on the Pistons for their point guards because they got your boy.
Okay.
They got your boy Ish Smith, Dave.
Look, Ish is phenomenal. You'll never hear me say an ill word about Ish, but he is not the starting point guard of this team.
Remember when he was the guy in 2K? You're like, I gotta have Ish.
Every game,
gotta have Ish.
Every franchise, I want for Ish.
I don't care if he's my starter. Dave had to have Ish on the team.
He was like a mini Rondo. It was so much fun.
Cheaper and younger too.
Cheaper
so
and
that's
younger.
Why I had to go.
Yep.
What do you got? Give me one.
All right, so mine is I almost feel like it's too easy.
Okay. Going with the softball.
Well, it's the replacement move because you lose CP3. And so as the organization, they go, all right, well, CP3 was like, he's the ultimate old school point guard. He's somebody who can go out there and distribute the ball. He keeps the offense moving, and he's a good shooter. Well, there's this guy overseas, Milos Teodosic, and what he can do, I mean, just his highlight reel of passing.
Didn't someone already call him the best passer in the NBA, and he hasn't even played an NBA game?
Yeah, it was Pat Bev.
Okay, that's right.
Pat Bev already said it, but I mean, it's been talked about for over a couple of years now about his prowess as a passer. He's a solid shooter. I mean, he's not going to defend. That's come on. He's not going to do that. Come on.
Who defends in this NBA?
Say, if he could, he would have been over here a while ago, I think.
I just talked about Avery Bradley. I almost said Avery Bradley, but Avery Bradley and his defense.
He
no one
smothers people with defense. Credit due to Avery Bradley. But no, Milos is phenomenal as a passer. Like, he comes in, and this team, I don't want to say they're not going to miss a beat because they also lost J.J. Redick, and that's kind of massive for spreading the floor out.
And they still have Austin Rivers.
Yeah, there's that. But Milos, I mean, that is a guy that you should be excited about. I don't give a shit that he's 30. Like, he's someone who instantly makes your team interesting to me because his passing is, like I said, it's highlight reel worthy. And if you haven't watched it yet, please go new tab. Second, after you finish us, go watch his highlight reel. It's okay, we'll wait. Like, it's so worth it. And I just think that the fit is perfect for them because they get someone who's a professional. They're not looking for a rookie. They're not looking to develop someone because this is a team that still has DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin. They went out and signed Danilo Gallinari. Like, they still very much think they're a playoff team that can compete and will compete. So I like the move by them.
And I find it interesting because the guy we just talked about in the second segment, the rookie, in Lonzo Ball, what was one of the best things that we said about his game is that he can facilitate and he can set his teammates up for things. I know with the guy we compare, the people that expect him to come in and be like Steph Curry, his dad said that he could be better than Steph Curry. What do we talk about with their game? Well, yeah, it's his 3 points, but with the Warriors overall, it's moving the ball. It's always finding that extra pass. The Spurs, when they were so good, we always harped and said we praised them for their ball movement.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, coming in and getting the guy that is the best passer in the NBA according to Pat Bev, I mean, I kind of
take it for what's worth.
I kind of want to say could be just because he hasn't played an NBA game, but I will take his word for it. Because if he is the best, he is the best. It's like LeBron James never played an NBA game, but when he was drafted, he was the best player in the NBA. Let's be honest.
Let's not cry on his ass. He was not his first game.
He didn't get not one, Dave, not two, not three, but he didn't get 8. Not 8.
He's got 3.
Yeah, he didn't get 8. That's why I stopped at 3. But here's one I want to throw out at you. And this is kind of a 3-pronged move, but I kind of want to do the last one. I want to say Jamal Crawford. Only because it's a lesser pickup for the T-Wolves. But overall, I mean, they made some moves. Jeff Teague comes in. Jimmy Butler coming in.
The fact that we're not talking Jimmy Butler offseason, like I feel like we're dancing around it because
Jimmy was the big one.
For those of us who don't know, Ricky and I are both Bulls fans, pretty hardcore.
And Taj Gibson, don't forget he's in there. Like the T-Wolves just overall offseason, they won.
You mean the Thimblewolves?
The Thimblewolves.
Like Sean's not here, so we're just going to dedicate it.
Over under how many games until Jamal Crawford loses his knees with Thibodeau practices?
I mean, like, probably only like 2 dozen. Like I'll give him 22 games.
He gets through 22 games and blows out his knees from being Thibodeau practices.
You got to love the fact that Thibodeau will play his players 36 minutes a game regardless of how old you are.
To the bone.
Yep. I mean, I think 4 out of the top 5 or 3 out of the top 5 were Timberwolves players for most minutes per game last year. So I mean, it's just what you get out of him. And let's just be honest, Jimmy Butler was the probably best of the rest, and that's not a slight on him because I think that he is a better player than Gordon Hayward at this point in his career. That's my opinion.
He wasn't the big free agent.
But he wasn't the big free agent because it was a deal. And that deal for the Timberwolves takes them from a team with potential, spooky team, to, oh shit, they're going to compete.
They're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, if they don't make the playoffs, the Thibodeau's gone. Like, I don't even know.
You think they don't make the playoffs, he gets fired?
How do you not make the playoffs with that team?
You have Andrew Wiggins. You have Karl Anthony Towns. You have Jimmy Butler.
Unless 4
Jeff
ACLs
Teague.
are broken.
You've got Taj Gibson. You got Jamal Crawford. And I look at it and I wonder if the T-Wolves overall are going, yeah, you know what? We don't want you to bust everyone's knees, so we're just going to give you a bunch of players. Because you can't play them all 40 minutes. So we're just going to let you have a bunch. Like, literally, Jimmy Butler, Jeff Teague, Taj Gibson, Karl Anthony Towns, Jamal Crawford, Andrew Wiggins. That's 6 right there. Usually when we get to playoff time and we get to that, we're talking 8-man rotation. That means you just have to have 2 players kind of, I'm going to say, mature into it.
Yeah.
And Justin Patton is going to be one of those players because he's a center and they're going to need someone to relieve the center position when their starter in either Cat or if they have Dieng play there.
Dieng actually was pretty solid
because Cat can either go 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I mean, he's listed as the 5, but he can go 4 or 5 and he can stretch out.
But Butler's impact is just... I mean, come on. Best of the rest, it's almost a slight to give it to him.
Well, I feel like, and the reason why I wanted to say, like, I wanted to start with Crawford was I'm still kind of shocked that a guy at 37 wanted to say, you know what? Screw the Cavs, screw this team. I'm going to go play for the T-Wolves, which haven't made the playoffs since Kevin Garnett won the MVP. And 2, play for a coach that at 37 is going to, like we said, run you
feel like this is like
bone.
Old Man Ray Allen style?
Maybe.
Like him to the Heat at the end. It was like, you know what? I still got value. I can do this.
Like I just look at it and I go, maybe, because I mean, I'm shocked that, like I said, a 37-year-old player would want to go play for Thibodeau. But that's why also I want to say it was a package move because Taj was also a good pickup. Teague, Jimmy Butler, the cream of the crop. When we talking about those moves, I just wanted to give the T-Wolves some love.
Much love, absolutely.
Hit me with another one.
Rudy Gay. Rudy Gay is a guy.
Skip Bayless didn't like this move when on whatever the show name is with him and Shannon Sharpe. I can't remember the name.
Undisputed.
Yeah, that's it. He didn't like the move because he is the most popular Spurs fan I know.
Well, to his credit, and I know I might get shifted, Skip has been He's been a writer in Texas for a long time. TV show personality aside, he actually does have a lot of attachments to the organization.
And like the Cowboys.
And yeah, absolutely. So when he says he doesn't like it, I think that's because of the perception around Rudy Gay and the fact that no team has ever been inherently better for having Rudy Gay on it.
One
playoff series. If he can be healthy, this actually ties back to something we were talking about before the show. And this is the Spurs and how they're run and how they work with talent that is grown within versus guys who come in after some time in their career.
I'm going to say something, and this is me just saying it, and I don't care if this is cross-promotion for something else. Road Trippin'.
Wonderful show.
The Richard Jefferson podcast of his interview with Robert Horry. I almost couldn't remember the name. Robert Horry. Amazing. And they go into this. They dive into this of the kind of, and I wonder if with Rudy Gay this will play into it of if you weren't homegrown in that system, it is hard to switch over because listening to them talk about it, I literally thought back to Game of Zones and I was like, holy shit. Like the Kevin Durant like bit in season 4, episode 1, when they were like, your soul goes in the box. That's really how it sounds.
Yeah,
when you go to a pop system.
You aren't you anymore. You don't get to do what made you special outside of this team.
You play for the team.
You're a role player.
Yes.
You follow the system, you play your role, and if you don't work there, you won't be there that long. I mean, this was specifically in the past, like the road tripping thing was really mostly spotlighted on LaMarcus Aldridge and the way he went from a 24 and like 14 guy to like a 17 and 8 guy. Like, I mean, roughly those stats. You're going to kill me for it, but whatever. Like, he went from a guy who was given all the possessions and the game was run through him to he's part of a team now. They're not going to feed him the ball all the time. They're not going to get him going at the beginning of the game. That's not how they do things. They play Spurs ball. They play team ball, and it's very much Kawhi Leonard's team. So watching Rudy Gay come in here, and what is his role going to be? And, you know, kind of, I'm very curious to see how this fits. And the reason I think it's going to be very positive is because they were clearly outclassed when it came to scoring last season during the playoffs. Like, that was, if they had one struggle outside of Kawhi's injury, it was trying to find that real second option on offense after Kawhi Leonard, because LaMarcus disappears for games at a time during the playoffs. I was a defender of him, and I will still be, because he's a very talented player, but you need to work him into a system correctly in order to get the most out of him. The Spurs aren't going out of their way to do that. That's not the Spurs. The Spurs are, you are going to work within us, and if you don't, then I'm going to get on your ass about it, but you're going to put up worse numbers because you're a role player here.
Well, and that's it. And I wonder, with me, the big thing, I'm not as optimistic as you. I feel like Rudy Gay coming into this system at age 30, I don't think he's going to be the piece that turns the team around, per se, because LaMarcus Aldridge, we're questioning him, and it's like, you know what, he came into the system. We already are criticizing him for the end of last season and how that played out, especially in the series against the Rockets, and it's like, unless you are a Kawhi Leonard, unless you are a Tony Parker, unless you are a Manu Ginobili,
Tim Duncan,
you haven't really... Tim Duncan as well. I know he's not on the team anymore.
But yeah, that was the thing.
Or even like it's just, if you weren't homegrown in this system.
Danny Green,
a guy
who has gone from. I mean, he got that big payday a couple of years ago.
Slow-mo, Kyle Anderson.
Guys who excel as role players and shine because of the system. And the reason I kind of want to spotlight Rudy Gay is because Jonathan Simmons just got signed out by Orlando on a 3-year, $20 million deal earlier today. And I mean, it's going to be interesting because Jonathan Simmons is a guy who is older, and, you know, if you ever listen to a Spurs game, you heard about 18 times about how he had to pay to do tryouts to make his way into the league, and it's a wonderful story. But it's a guy who excelled possibly because of the system, undoubtedly because of his effort level, and he's a all-in, he will give you everything he's got. Rudy Gay is not that guy. Rudy Gay is a scorer. He's been in the past known to be out for himself and a little bit of a selfish ego around him. So this is really going to be a great match of Pop's coaching, the system, and how he's going to fit into this team. And I think that's why it might be one of the most volatile pickups of the offseason, but I definitely have it pegged because it has the most influence on whether the Spurs are going to be able to compete at the top of that ladder, or whether they're going to continue to sit at like number 4. I
was going to ask you, were they forced into this move? Because of what the Rockets did with CP3.
Yeah, I think
we saw the Thunder get better. Did they feel like, you know what, this isn't a perfect fit, but we have to add something. We need clear need for a scorer, and you need that guy who can step up when given the ball in his hands. And you don't need to be an all-around player. Rudy Gay can give you a little bit of everything, and that's the nice thing about him. He's a decently well-rounded player, defensively known to slack, but still. The problem wasn't defense. The problem was being able to score with Kawhi not in the game, or if Kawhi happened to go cold, you can run the offense through someone else. LaMarcus is a push start, lawnmower. You got to give it some real effort to get him going in a game, and even then, it's not always guaranteed. Rudy Gay is the guy who can get you buckets. It's that push start where it's like, you're getting caught on the grass, guy. Come on, keep going. The ones that I know you in our childhood would have to cut the grass with a few times. Didn't you have a push start? Didn't you
Way
have a
back,
push
maybe.
one that
I
you
don't
had to
know.
do? But one thing I want to ask you about the Spurs that I thought of while we were talking, is that why Patty Mills stayed? Is it because of, with Patty Mills, did he think, I could go out, get money, but I'm going to be more successful in this system?
Possibly. I mean, I like to think some of it's loyalty to Pop and to the organization, because it's one of the most well-run organizations in the league for the longest time. So I think there's a mutual respect there. But there's that question that Patty Mills, a shooting guard in a point guard's body, would not be as successful if you put him on another team in this league and told him, you're our guy, run the offense.
Because, I mean, he wasn't drafted by the Spurs, but
he was clearly molded by them.
He was one of those guys where he played with the Trailblazers. He was with them from 09 to 11, but he was in Idaho, he was in Melbourne, he was in China for a while before coming over to the Spurs in 2012. I just, as we're talking about Rudy Gay and just that signing, I kind of was thinking to myself, is that why Patty Mills stayed? Because the system of, I am the best in this system, and I can just get some money here and stay here, and I'm a team player for this system. It was just one of the thoughts that I kind of came up with. And the next team I kind of want, or the next move, I should say, that I kind of want to look at, I've been thinking of a few in my head. And, I mean, I was bouncing two between my head, and I'm going to go with a shocker here. The two that I was thinking about, the first one was Dwight to the Hornets, which I think is a nice move.
What are you doing?
But the only reason why I wanted to say that was because he's reunited with an old assistant coach. He's reunited with an old coach. It feels very good, Dave. And I can't wait to see. I just want to, like, that's more of, I just want to see how he deals with the...
He fills in a gap for them and potentially takes his team to contention.
Maybe the playoffs. Maybe the playoffs.
They should be a playoff team.
Because, I mean, the one thing that we did here in the comment section was when we were mocking Zach Collins to them, I mean, one of the comments was like, great, another thing they need is another white center out of like Gonzaga. This is the center that they needed. And it's a guy that Clifford knows in Dwight Howard. But the move I kind of want to go with, and this is going to be a shocker, half of it's good, half of it's bad. The part that's bad is Timothy Mozgov because of his contract. I like D'Angelo Russell to the Nets, though. And the reason being is the Nets, they had cap room. And it's a 1 year tryout basically, because if he does well and they really like him, they can keep him for next year on the club option, or they can just cut ties with him next year. They can walk, and you know what? It was a nice experiment while it landed, and we have now cap room to work with. However, I love this move more because of the D'Angelo Russell side of, this is his opportunity. Change of scenery. You're in a new place. Show us you can lead a team. Show us you can be a team player, because in LA, your career has kind of been tainted by the locker room doesn't like you. The whole him and Swaggy P thing didn't help him with him outing Swaggy P for being an asshole and cheating on, I think it was Iggy Azalea? Is that who it was? I wanted to say Alessia Cara, but I'm like, Alessia Cara wasn't quite as famous
one of his girlfriends
back then. But being the scumbag and cheating, kind of outing him for that, kind of rubbing the locker room the wrong way. I like this move for new face, new city. Work it out. This is your time with a clean slate. Show us what you can do in really the dumpster of the NBA, which is the Brooklyn Nets.
Hey, it's a little mean.
They should have had the number one pick if they didn't trade for KG and Paul Pierce.
They made some regrettable mistakes in the past, but they're cleaning it up. And I trust in this organization.
The trash man's coming to town and taking out that dumpster.
They're doing a good job. They're doing a good job. I really do like this. I agree with you. D'Angelo Russell has a great opportunity here to kind of restart his career and kind of put a big impact on, who he's going to be as a player, because we didn't see a ton of development from year 1 to year 2. A little bit more consistency, but still had some problems that are rightfully because of his own immaturity, and that's on the court and off the court. So I think that going to this Brooklyn team that has lower expectations, lower market media, like you won't, I know it's still New York, but
it's the Nets.
You won't get massacred because you have the Knicks soaking up all the hatred over here.
You have the dumpster fire in the Knicks soaking it up.
Yeah, so I think this is great for him. It's going to be really interesting to see how he works with this team because they lose Brook Lopez, obviously their big scorer last year. You have Karis LeVert, someone that I know Sean and I were very positive on. We really look forward to him growing as a player. And a handful of other younger guys who there's potential there. I still like Jeremy Lin is a good mentor for him, but Jeremy Lin's never going to stay healthy probably. So, yeah. D'Angelo Russell has a chance here to put up some monster numbers. I think that...
You didn't give me too much confidence when you were like, yeah.
Well, look, I want
It kind of sounded like you were going, wait, I'm going to sell you on it.
No, because that was more of the Jeremy Lin thing.
Okay.
Like, I love to be high on Lin because he's a great person, but his injuries have just
he's got a
cut
player
out.
out too.
Yeah, so I think that D'Angelo's going to have a career year. I know it's only his third year in the league, but I think he's going to put up like 19 a game. I think he is the offense on this team. I think he will have a wonderful year for them. Efficiency-wise, probably going to be a little worse off for the wear because of the increased volume, but not too much. I do think that he's going to have a great year, and people in Brooklyn are going to be like, yeah, this totally worked out for us because we got our point guard of the future for Brook Lopez, who is great for them. No disrespect. You're not going to win with him on your team as your number one.
And he was just going to walk.
And he was probably going to walk anyway.
Also, they got another guy that this is one where I'm just throwing it out there because he's a name from Toronto. Are you going to guess who it is?
DeMarre Carroll.
DeMarre Carroll. He is also a Brooklyn Net as well.
It was a good pickup for them.
Not quite the same DeMarre Carroll that went 1v1 versus LeBron in the playoffs.
He may have been injured several times since then and lost all the athleticism that made him a wonderful defender and not playing in that system anymore. Just disclaimers for people who don't understand how DeMarre Carroll fell off from the top of the earth.
Give me one more. Give me the
just to add on top of that, they got DeMarre Carroll, but they also got 2 picks for him.
That's right.
They got the first and second round.
Forgot.
That is why
picks.
the Nets are going in the right direction, making all the right moves.
They're trying to clean up that dumpster that I once called them a few seconds ago.
Just a few seconds ago.
Let's end the podcast. I started it. You can end it. Give me the last one, the last best move for the offseason thus far.
Oh man, I feel a little strange with this being the last best move, but I'm going to toss it out there anyway, and that is the re-signing of Chandre Iguodala. I mean, it's
got to be. Well, 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, I feel that's why I was like, it's a little cheesy, but like bringing back Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala was the best move of the offseason because that's what cements this team to be, again, right at the top. They're the cream of the crop. They've separated themselves based off their superstars.
Yeah, the cream of the crop, Dave.
Absolutely.
They are the cream of the crop.
Four all-stars on your starting lineup, and then you have a bench led by these 2 veterans. And I don't want to toss in Nick Young because that's a separate guy, but like Swaggy P's in there too.
He hates Golden State fans, Dave.
Doesn't even matter.
He hates them.
I could just picture him with the walk away, hold up the arms, 3-ball that just clanks out.
The funniest thing about that is they bring up Cold Takes, brings up Swaggy P's tweet about how he hates Golden State fans from a year ago, and then Kevin Durant is already taunting him for the. I had taunted him in the past for the missed shot that he went in.
Veteran leadership on this bench, the Warriors. This again, it takes the 4 All-Stars and questionable bench to 4 All-Stars and one of the best benches in the league. Guys you can trust to put in playoff games. Guys you can trust to play heavy minutes. I mean, it's just Golden State. Bravo! I mean, you've again just impressed everybody.
And when Andre Iguodala signed back with the Warriors, we got to give credit to the man who broke the news on Twitter.
Woj?
And no, the tweet said, sources close to Andre Iguodala reporting agreed to terms to return to the Bay, ... at Andre Iguodala.
Oh,
he was the one that broke it with.
That's right. He broke
with his own like sources close to Andre Iguodala.
Oh, I love that.
How could you get any closer?
Handled it so
yourself?
much better than Hayward.
Yeah. How could you get any closer than that?
Worst reveal.
You know what? One guy. I'm actually.
You're stealing the thunder. I did throw down like 3 names.
You know,
to be fair.
in my heart of hearts, I've been like, do I mention it? Do I not? I can't end the podcast without mentioning it. Caldwell Pope, a nice pickup for the Lakers.
1-year deal, no harm, no foul.
I know it's a year, but it's kind of like I started off with defense, we'll end it with defense. He brings defense to the Lakers.
The guys who were traded for each other.
Yeah,
Effectively, it was one in, one. Yeah, not quite, but one in, one out kind of a thing.
Detroit got rid of one, brought in the other.
Yep.
But Caldwell Pope's going to do good things for the Lakers. It was one of those things where I was just looking at it like, I got to mention it. I can't let it go until...
He's a solid young player. It's a roll of the dice. I mean, it's a 1-year contract, $19 million. It's not going to cost them anything in the long run. And best case scenario, they walk away from him at the end of the year and sign 2 All-Stars. Worst case scenario, they sign him to a long-term contract because he really impressed and maybe 1 All-Star, or maybe, who's to say? But again, this gives him a chance to work alongside Lonzo, and we really get to see something special with them building out that team.
Well, this is where we're going to turn it on to you guys for the last time. Let us know down below in the comment section, what moves did we not mention that you think have been the best of the offseason? Don't bring up the big 3. We know Gordon Hayward got signed. Got signed. We know CP3 got traded, and we know Paul George got traded. But let us know which ones.
Was it Dion Waiters?
You really... Ooh, could it be Dion?
Was it the fire? Was it JJ Redick going to the Sixers?
I forgot about JJ Redick, man. I'm kind of upset I didn't bring that up. That's for you guys down in the comment section. But thank you guys for either watching this on YouTube or listening on Blog Talk Radio. We are not able to do what we do each and every day for you guys talking about sports without the undying support from you guys. Yeah, I'm using support a little bit too much there, but hey, I like it and we're going to roll with it. I want to thank you guys for checking out the show today. And as always, have a good day, everybody. Phoenix Suns.